Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 209th episode of our first YouTube run through the House of Light expansion to Book of Hours, playing as the Archaeologist. I'm System Chalk. We are almost done leveling up the different skills for Autumn. As I kind of suggested here, or in the last episode, we'll probably wind up focusing more on getting the Salon ready for the next season. But if I read a book, it's most likely going to be The Hissing Key rather than Where Has She Gone or The Radical Measure. All of these are mildly appealing options, by the way. It's just I'm trying to think what I am guaranteed to finish within the season. The Deaths of the Moon, a historical tract on various forms of survival after death. When the heart no longer beats, the grail may keep the spirit in the body, and an appetite is indicated to sustain. Alukites are the best known, but not the only of this nature. This is the waning moon mode. The full moon mode is the intensification of one element of the soul to the point where ordinary sustention is unstable. Our protector, the generous of hosts, began of this nature, and its generosity remains ungentle. It is possible for the body's health or the heart's core to outpace the other elements, so that a static mode becomes impossible and growth proceeds in dramatic stages until balance remanifests. So again, all of this is going to be going into solutions and separations. On the matter and deeds of serpents, this was probably the prophecies of the Naga, rendered into English and illustrated by William Midnight in Paris in the 1880s, but it shows a number of divergences from that text. It's certainly quite recent by the standards of VAC texts. The serpent folk, called the Great Hooded Princes, came to know the order called the House of Leith and warred across the miles with them. They made an alliance with the mother of ants whose children they had been. The text describes how the Great Hooded Princes escaped, or will escape, from the fifth history, where they had died, or were doomed to die. They engaged in a secret conquest of the land of the Great River, called India in some histories, and have ensured that all other conquests of that land are false conquests. And the account of Kanishk at the Spider's Door. Lot Kahuli, Kanishk's victim and lover, wrote this account, perhaps posthumously. Kanishk sought to become a name. In pursuit of that end, he made Lot Kahuli the vessel of his appetites, promising Locke that they would ascend together. At the Spider's Door, he betrayed his lover. The Chiliarch listened to it happen and then forced Kanishk into his service. The Chiliarch cannot be denied. Lot Kahuli remained to write this work and to describe the outer magics of struggle and contest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, waiting on the name day riddle. Well, and the consider verb to become available, but better now. So this will turn into money. And actually, while I'm at it, so if I just take a moment to reflect on what I can use my my various skills and elements of the soul for, given that I will want to open up the sealed vault soon, it's likely that I'm going to want some serpent milk. So it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to prepare serpent milk. I'm going to do that. I'm actually first going to make Perunculate because I know I can get that done on time. But following that, we will... let's find the one with leaf. If I can avoid using Ava's locks, that would be preferable. I don't know about the cat's claw, though. I think Disciplines of the Scar should... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so this I know we can have done in time for the next day. And then what we'll do at the beginning of tomorrow in game will be we will turn that into serpent milk. And that of course implies that I'll be using Denzel to open up the sealed vault. It feels kind of nice to have my old friend be the one to see the mission through. Is this a way to the wood? But perhaps the wood is not a suitable place for librarian. Name day riddle, a deceptively intricate riddle that might just teach us who we really are. Gervinus van Loren was notoriously fond of these. And we now have our level 6 spices and savors. So before we go any further, let's make sure we get the last level of solutions and separation. Well, last for today. When I thought I'd understood, I'd only begun. Improve the skill to level 7. So at this point here, what I would maybe want to do is decide, okay, is there anything else that I can get? Actually, you know what? Because we said we wanted potentially Ava's locks, I think at this point I'm okay with going to Crowcross Sands. And if I'm going to Crowcross Sands, I might as well go to the moor and all the other locations. So... all right. So I may regret grabbing all of that stuff because I always have difficulty finding a place to put them. But I think we're in decent shape. The only remaining thing for today will be finding out what the memory from Kittling Ripe's Tasty Treats was. And then we will take the Newman... Oh, sorry. I also need to get the occult scrap. And then maybe while we wait for... Once I get those, I'll take a minute to read... Actually, no, while I'm at it, let's read by Marks You Shall Know Them. Seeing as I apparently didn't shelf that one properly either. But yeah, maybe what I'll do over the evening is I'll have a think about what guests I want to invite. Alright, the skill is now level 7. Its power aspects have also increased. And towards a fundamental aesthetic, or the House of Glass. Julian considered this his masterwork. Techniques for perception and analysis which permit invidious and apocalyptic conclusions. Possibly the most assiduously suppressed book in history. The entire run was destroyed, but even the presses were melted and dispersed, but the manuscript edition has survived. The perfect hegemony of the hours is perhaps eternal, but Cosley proposes and describes confinement inescapable, aesthetic and optical techniques which might contain even an hour, profoundly disrupting the order of the Mansis. He presents this as his own work, but there are hints here and there that he received inspiration or even assistance from the knower hour named Snow. And Kittling Ripe's Tasty Treats. The Velvet is the Hour of Secrets, and so very little is known of the Nectarlong, who ascend to immortality under her auspices. But this book, by Kittling's friend, purports to be part cookbook and part manual for immortality. Kittling Ripe is the name usually given to the speechless but never silent cat thing that serves as a name of the Velvet. Kittling Ripe, it seems, enjoys hunting immortals, and the Velvet is very fond of Kittling Ripe. The secret, it appears, is to arouse Kittling's appetite enough to become her quarry, but not quite enough to be caught. The Velvet permits this game, since it calls immortals careless enough to attract attention, and keeps her name happy. The author bemoans the loss of the Carapace Cross's savor secrets, which apparently were particularly tempting, but suggests decent spice substitutes, which also happen to make for excellent pigeon pie. Okay, so satisfaction, we can definitely work with that, although I believe we don't have room. No, that's gossip. That's impulse. Right, there's satisfaction, okay. All right. I feel like I was going to do something else after that. Let's have a think about our invitations. So one argument would be to prepare for... So I guess if I take a look at the guests that I could potentially have, it would be Hokabald, Dagmar, Serena, Zachary, Coquille, and Olympi. And of course the challenge here is that while they may be people who are involved with the event, I can't invite all of them. We can keep the satisfaction, so I'll do that. I did forget to read the paper, though. Shame on me. Yeah, so, one argument here would be Hokabald, Dagmar, Serena, Zachary, Coquille, and Olympi. Actually, I have a kind of a weird idea for a salon. I have 5 people, so I could actually invite everyone who... I could invite everyone who's actually eligible to join the Lighthouse Institute. I wasn't thinking of doing it this way, but it just kind of turns out. By their marks you shall know them. A monster hunting initiate of the hour named the Colonel, who identifies herself as Little Sophia, provides advice on finding the weak spots of Long. Little Sophia observes dryly, should one desire to slay an immortal, it is most practical to do so before they become immortal entirely. She details the marks and changes that Long undergo as they abandon their mortal condition. As a lantern Long begins to abandon its flesh, its skin becomes loose, its bones soften. The 6th mark is to be observed thus, when the flesh between the finger and thumb can be pulled to the final finger joint. So I don't recall if I have a pattern. Oh, yes I do. Nothing is history when first it happens. Okay, yeah, so if I wanted to do a salon around the people who can join the Lighthouse Institute right now, that would be Fraser, Eason, Hokabald, Wakefield, and Schaller. So let's say I wanted to do that. No guarantees, but let's build something around that. So Fraser's going to want scale. Eason's a weird one because he's a little of each. Did I not write that down? All right, slightly inconvenient, but... Hokabald. That's an easy one, that's Forge. Wakefield. For Winter, and then Schaller as Hart. Again, no guarantees that that's going to be exactly the way I do this. But if I was so inclined, actually, I can see a couple of appealing options because we've got pickled pilchards as well as beef as options. Or I could do pickled pilchards and like pilchards on toast or stargazy pie. Yeah, actually, you know what? There's a few. I'm going to do my usual thing and look at my Excel sheet, but I actually can see a few fun options happening here. So if I look for... Let's sort it by courses. So for first courses, I'm wondering if I can find any good Forge stuff for a first course. Oh, Kedgary. Or poached mackerel. Yeah, man, I love this idea, actually. So, got pickled pilchard. Oh, hang on. I got to make sure that I'm not... I do actually need to make sure that we meet the requirements of This is so unusual. I don't actually see pickled pilchards. Okay, so for main course, I figure main course we kind of have to go for stargazy pie at this point. Pickled pilchards count as a main course? I'm starting to doubt my notes here. Sorry, just I actually want to find this out. Oh, do I even have them? I mean, if nothing else, just for exploration alone, I feel like that's one that I should follow up on. Okay, let's say that's an open question. Stargazy pie is definitely on. I don't think there's any fish puddings. Okay, so let's say Stargazy's the main, pickled pilchards is the side, and poached mackerel is the first course. So the pudding... mushroom... I gotta do mushroom meringue in this case. So that leaves me with a free heart. And I mean, I guess maybe pickled mackerel is an option here. The only thing is I do need to make sure that one of these things has heart. And it does. Okay. I mean, at this point, I'm kind of inclined to do this Salon anyway, the fish Salon. Okay, we're gonna put this in the... Yeah, no, I feel most inclined to do this particular Salon now. All right, unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. Ava's locks are welcome. All of these are just gonna go. You know, I've already used up the dream slot, so yeah. So I think I have a few competing priorities here. I think I am actually gonna go for the hissing key. We should be able to get through that. Well, it's too late now. I don't need to commit too much to get it done. If, in truth, if I wanted to do this, I probably should have done it earlier, but, you know, them's the breaks. So we'll throw a whist at this, and, I mean, we only need the 8, so I'm a little weirded out by the fact that I'm missing some skills. Right. Okay, that's not such a worry. Okay, so let's get to work on the hissing key. I'm a little more reluctant to use health at this point, but I'm happy to employ the whist. Horns and ivories is a little higher than I need. Hill and hollow is a little short though, so we'll do hill and hollow, and we'll add the serpent-styled glass. I can master this mystery, enough scale to match mystery scale. Now, if I am going to be making... There's a few of these things that are going to require... So like Stargazy Pie, for instance, is going to require dough, I believe. And then I'll need to make a meringue. Yeah, so let's start with, let's start by making the dough. And then I will also need meringue, so we'll work on that right away too. This one we can use a Fost for. I'm not quite ready to boil an egg. Sugar, sorry. Make meringue, an ingredient for a higher purpose. Now, under normal circumstances, I would be preparing the Salon. Oh, can't do that. So I guess I can use that to prepare the Salon after all. Alright, now the real question is, can I get away with a normal metal? Not unless I want to give up... I mean, I could do the loss, but I think I'll settle here for the upgraded metal. Enrich the ink to a fluid vibrant with edge power. Okay, so with that in mind, I think maybe we pickle the pilchard and pickle the mackerel. I guess the next question would be, what alcohol do I have a surplus for? Probably Domaine Reveline, but oh hell yes. Okay. The wood is filled with life. Alright, so let's see if we can get this up to +3. So in this case, if I'm not mistaken... So first of all, I think this is the only remaining attuned health that I have. So the question becomes, which of these is preservation attuned? Although there is an easier way of determining that. It's looking at the highlights. But I am actually going to take the time on this one because it is going to mean the difference between me generating a memory that will give... Oh god, I can't even remember the memory that counts as that. Oh, that's another one for the to-do list. And again, the upstairs stuff I'm kind of doubtful on. Oh, no, that's... I will double check, but I do not believe I'm going to be able to use that with the drums. Yeah, so perhaps unsurprisingly... Ah, now that I wasn't counting on. Fascinating. Train my health to its utmost. Preservation, the earth endures, and so do I. Alright, so this is why we take the time to check these things. Let's think. So I suppose the question would be, based off of reading the hissing key, what memories can I generate? This is actually a tricky one for me, because if I was applying my own rule, I would do wolf stories instead of serpents and venoms. But now that I think of it, it doesn't really matter, because it will be the same for both. So let's take that. And I'll generate whatever moon and scale I can. Sorry, this was Bittersweet Certainty, right? Doesn't help. Impulses is Moth. Confounding Parables helps, though. I think I'm onto Letters of a Fugitive, but I will do It Is Written one more time. Again, it's moon and scale that I'm looking for, so these don't help. Hindsight will help, though. I think we may be to Introduction to the Histories again. No moon. Or no, sorry, it does have scale, though. We're either Stolen Histories or True... I think we're True History. Contradictions definitely has moon. I think we may be on the Ascendant, but I'm going to do Honey. So Salt gives me the moon, and then the Governor's Desk. Can really kind of put anything there, but for that one, Secret Thresholds doesn't help me. Gossip, or yeah, but we can use Intuitions. All right, I think that will cover us for now. I do have the Savage Hymn. But I also think at this point we're probably going to be overdoing it for memories rather than underdoing it. I've carried a memory like a flambeau safe through the mazes of night. Pour it out. All right, so that we will use as an input. And we'll start with... what have we got? Pickle Pilchards. All right, so we'll just put that one down here. 2 more picklings. And the fog's kind of helpful in this case, because if we do need to use a moon, then we're still ahead of the game. Now, one thing that I will confess is a little tricky with the way House of Light works. So I haven't talked about this too much, and I won't necessarily say spoils. Like, in general, the concept of spoiler is just one I don't find very helpful. But if you want an idea in terms of where things can go, you can actually click on the lighthouse, and you can see the people who potentially count for these roles. And so the only reason why I mention like the idea of a spoiler or that, right, is if you like the idea of doing if you like the idea of kind of seeing a story through to the end that you find most satisfying. And then you take the time to see, oh, okay, so this character can be the treasurer, and I already want so-and-so as the treasurer. You may be slightly, you may be pushing yourself towards a particular outcome. in the Lighthouse Institute. So I haven't been trying to steer myself towards a particular conclusion except as relates to the event that I have in front of me. But as I've gotten a number of inspired individuals, the question becomes, okay, so, do I want to acquire more inspired potential candidates for the Lighthouse Institute, or do I want to add new aspects to the people who are candidates for it? And I'll be honest with you, I actually don't know. I don't have a good answer for this yet. I have a couple of ideas in terms of how it might work out, but I don't have a final decision for that yet. All right, meringue. Add to milk for a legendary dessert, or with spicing, add to apples or pears, even to mushrooms if you're feeling perverse. And I am. So our last action today will be to make the legendary dessert. Legendary in my eyes. Bake a mushroom meringue. Okay, this will be my stargazy pie ingredient. No. Actually running out of fish. Make stargazy pie. Cool. And then, you know what, we'll give this the 3 seconds to... So they're a first course and they're a side dish. They're not a main dish, so I clearly wrote this down wrong. But we'll get to work on the mackerel. Okay, so we're on our way to our fishy supper. I will... oh, and we do have some books, but I will read those at the start of the next stream. So, again, we are a little bit under the gun as far as dealing with the lessons that I'll be getting, but I don't. Personally, I don't see that as a deal breaker. Like, I think that's maybe one to focus the mind, but maybe not one to panic too much about. So from there, we'll see whether or not we get hit by Numa. And if we don't, then we'll have a nice, jolly, fishy Christmas. And we will read, at the very least, the last books. And then we'll probably start right away on the films and the... on the films and the phonographs. But of course, all of that will happen in the forthcoming episodes. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.